Hey, I'm Chad Hasty, host of the Chad Hasty Show, which airs weekday mornings 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on NewsTalk, 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO in Lubbock, Texas. You can listen online, of course, at KFYO.com. Lost between all the Comey and Jeff Sessions and Donald Trump issues of last week has been, of course, the fight over repealing Obamacare. A couple of weeks ago, I had U.S. Senator John Cornyn on my show, and at that time, he was really the only senator saying that by the end of July, we will repeal and replace Obamacare, at least in the U.S. Senate. If of course, you're watching this KFYO on YouTube and KFYO.com. You can go back a couple of weeks and you can find that video and you can watch that if you'd like to. What's been interesting since then is the movement towards getting something done in the Senate. But now, apparently, according to CNN, conservatives are a little bit worried about what exactly will pass out of the Senate. Reading from CNN, discussions are ongoing and a vote not likely for at least several weeks, but several details emerging from the negotiations last week over repealing Obamacare have the Republican Party's right flank on edge. A month ago, there was a lot of optimism that the Senate process would go better for conservatives than the House process initially had. They were given a seat at the negotiating table with leadership inviting both Senators Mike Lee of Utah and Ted Cruz of Texas to participate in the Senate's health care working group, but the leaders seeking to assuage concerns from all sides of the GOP, conservatives are facing potential policy blows. Republican leaders this past week indicated that they preferred not to repeal as many of the Obamacare and Obama-era regulations as the House bill did, including a key protection for people with pre-existing conditions. This is something that Congressman Jody Arrington addressed on my show this past Friday. Let's see here. This also includes a key protection for people with pre-existing conditions that blocks insurers from charging people more for insurance based on their health history. That could make it tougher, of course, for those on the right in the more conservative side of things in the Senate and in the House to vote for whatever comes out of the Senate. As I said, this is still a very rocky area for lawmakers. You had Mike Pence over the weekend, the vice president, coming out and saying, listen, this is still President Trump's number one issue. Right now, we want to get a repeal and replace of Obamacare out. Obamacare is failing, but it's going to be tricky because every time you start to make conservatives happy, we saw this in the House, every time you make conservatives happy, you're going to piss off one of the moderates in the Senate, and it's the same thing going back and forth. If you make moderates happy, you're going to tick off the conservatives. And then at some point, you've got to send this entire thing to the House where you don't have a lot of room for error again. So it's still going to be a rocky area. Something has to get done, and it has to be a good bill that gets through and is finally signed into law by President Trump. It needs to be something that will reduce premiums. It needs to be something that people will see at least when they're going through at the end of the year. They're not going to see their premiums skyrocket. People need to see that. They want to see money being saved, whether it be in their checking accounts or at the end of the year when they don't get a letter anymore saying that their premiums are going to go up about 150%. Let's see, reading from CNN again, Michael Cannon, the director of health policy studies at the Cato Institute, said from what he can tell, senators are moving a little more than Obamacare with window dressing. Not good news, but this is the expected fight that we're going to see in the Senate and again once in the House. Once these two bodies get together and hammer out a deal, it's not going to look anything like the House originally came up with, and it's probably not going to look a lot like what the Senate eventually comes up with. So there's still a fight there. I would say keep pressure on lawmakers, on Republican lawmakers, to repeal and replace Obamacare, but to do so as conservative as possible. That is going to be very key in getting something good signed by the president. Tune in to the Chad Hasty Show weekday mornings, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time. News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Have a great day.